You've spoken out in terms of climate change. You just did so in Paris. You visited Green School in Bali, and there was that great fundraiser the other night. Um, were you stunned by what's happening here, and what do you think athletes can do to really deal with this climate change crisis?
Well, it's a tragedy for Australia, and it's really not pleasant to see this many people suffer the consequences of big force that is hard to stop, and at times nature shows us how in a way insignificant we are towards her, and I think everyone is trying to do their best to understand what people, animals, ecosystems are going through in order to contribute in one way or another. What happened the other night at the Rod Laver Arena was truly special. It was a lot of fun. I think it was one of the best tennis exhibition events that I was ever part of, with all the stars from both men's and women's side, and over 5 million was raised. So that was an incredible success, and I'm really glad that I was part of that. And I think athletes, have a blessing to have such a great platform to do good things, and everything that we say is kind of heard in a different parts of the world, and so we can of course talk about it, raise the awareness about it, be part of such events that are fundraisers, and of course contribute financially ourselves. So everyone has an individual way of helping out, and it's really tragical to see the suffering that this country is going through in the last couple of months.
Thank you, Federer.
You've already won 4 Grand Slam titles since turning 30, which is the second highest total in the Open era. I'm wondering if you could point to something that has allowed you to have that success at that age. What would you say it is? I'm also wondering how you've been either influenced by or seen, and that's helped you, the success of guys like Federer and Nadal past the age
Yes.
of 30, and also whether you've ever given or how much thought you've given to how long you want to try to continue at this level.
It's a lot of questions in one question. I think first of all, I think Roger has talked about this as well, and Rafa as well, that age is just a number, and I think it's not just a cliche, but it's really something that I feel like 3 of us have really in common, and it's really the way we approach career and our everyday life. I think we kind of found a way and formula to balance private professional life so that we are able to kind of excel in tennis and still be able to compete on the highest level after many years, and still be motivated and still be mentally fresh and of course physically prepared and fit to compete in best of 5 sets with young players that are coming up, and they're obviously very hungry to reach the great heights and fight for the biggest trophies in sport. But I think personally, for me, it seems like my career was going in sequences of several years. I think every sequence had different circumstances in life and different situations that have made me the person and the player I am today. And I think I just had to adapt to this newly occurring circumstances and evolve and then kind of grow stronger and also find purpose and motivation in each of these phases. or sequences in my career, in my life, as well. So I mean, I'm completely different person. I have completely different life today than I had 5 years ago, and you know, I'm a father of 2 children, and obviously things are not the way they were 5 or 10 years ago, and I know that, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's better or it's worse. It's just different. So I adapt to that, and I try to maximize the present moment as much as I can in my life, and try to find the optimal balance and formula that will allow me to play my best. I still feel physically fit. I try to take care of my body. I try to be very conscious and aware of that kind of holistic approach, and that still allows me to be here and compete with the best players in the world. You mentioned Roger and Rafa and my kind of rivalry with them, and that being one of the motivations for me to still keep going at this age, and I will agree with that. Of course, I think you know, I mentioned many times before that 3 of us have you know, inspired each other throughout our rivalries and careers to be better, to understand how we can overcome certain obstacles in the matchups that we have against each other, or anything else really that followed our careers. So I am more grateful today to be in the same era with these 2 guys than I was probably 10-15 years ago. And I think that definitely rivalries with them made me very, very strong, very resilient, and also very motivated, that I'm still today.
Yes, Novak, you said the young ones are very hungry and eager to win Grand Slams as well. What do you think that they're still missing to make the last step and eventually win a Grand Slam?
Well, they're coming closer and closer. I mean, it's obvious. You know, Medvedev had a great fight with Rafa in the last Grand Slam in US Open of last season, and you know, Tsitsipas played semis here last year. Dominic Thiem twice finals in French Open. So they're very, very close. You know, and they're literally 1 set away. You know, and on a given day in the very near future, I think that can happen, and it's going to happen. It's inevitable. What they're missing, I don't think they're missing too much, to be honest. You know, I think they possess a very powerful games that require a lot of skills, and they have those skills. They have put in the hours and dedicated themselves on and off the court. I see a lot of those next generation players working very hard, being very professional. So that's a good sign, because that's one of the precursors, I guess, for the success. But at the same time, to win a slam and also to kind of be consistently on the top level for many years, it takes, I think, a player to gain that mental and emotional maturity and experience, and to understand his own strengths, and to kind of fight his own fears, and to really be able to maintain that level for a long time. So Rafa, Roger and I, obviously because of the past 10, 15 years, we know what we need to do mentally also in this particular situation, so that gives us probably a little bit of an edge. But nevertheless, everything has to kind of intertwine, and everything has to be, I guess, in balance. When I say everything, I mean mental, physical, emotional, and then of course you need to have a luck on that day, and for the stars to align to win a Grand Slam trophy, and so they're very close. I don't think that's miles away, maybe as it was some years ago, but I think they are definitely hungry, they're challenging, and they're knocking on the door.
I apologise, we've got time for 2 more questions. Simon and Carol.
Coming back to the air quality, we obviously saw some players having serious problems in qualifying Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yes.
How concerned were you at the time for yourself and for other players, and how concerned are you now, still going ahead, that conditions could be different?
Well, to be honest, I was a little bit concerned. Those several days that you mentioned. I think Melbourne was at the time the most polluted city in the world, and that day. And it was sad to see some players collapsing and ball kids collapsing on the court. But I had faith in Melbourne Four Seasons City, as they call it, that changes the weather very quickly. And there was a lot of rain one night and wind as well, which cleared up the sky. So last 3 days has been really good. Fresh air, it's like nothing happened. So whether that's going to stay or not, we don't know, because the fires are still ongoing. So we hope not. For the sake of I guess well-being and health of all the players, but also this tournament that obviously would have lots of troubles if they have to cancel matches, and luckily they have 3 closed courts with the roof, but still there's so many matches, so many players. So let's hope that the worst is behind us.
Sorry, last question before we go.
Novak, I wonder if you had to change anything in your preparation toward the first round because of the energy you left in the ATP Cup, maybe more mental than physical.
Yes, you're right. I did not have such an intensive couple of weeks the year before Australian Open for many years. I mean, I did have participation in Doha tournament and Hopman Cup before and everything, but it was a lot of physical and emotional energy being spent in the ATP Cup, which of course was perfect for me individually. Won all my matches in singles and doubles, and we as team won the title, which was definitely one of the highlights of all my career. I mean, always I keep on saying that winning with my friends and with the team and representing my country and winning team competitions is definitely something that I cherish and that fulfills me truly. And so it was phenomenal couple of weeks and great lead up to Australian Open, but it did take a lot out of me. So I did adjust my training sessions towards that. I had a little bit more of a recuperation rather than just stepping on the accelerator, a little bit more. So I just try to kind of put a level down a little bit and just try to keep the sessions a bit shorter with good intensity, and that's all. Just maintain the right rhythm for the first match.